The last thing I heard before I died was laughter. Not crying. Not screaming. Laughter. My best friend, Clara, was standing beside my hospital bed with tears running down her cheeks. But she was laughing. She really thought she could become the top student again. Another voice answered. She never realized that all her precious notes were being used against her. I couldn't move. I couldn't even open my eyes. My body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. But I could hear everything. Then Clara leaned close to my ear. Seraphina, you should have stayed useful. Useful. That one word hurt more than anything else. Because I finally understood. I had spent my entire life helping people who never loved me. I had written their notes, solved their assignments, explained their lessons, shared my study guides, prepared their presentations, even helped them prepare for the scholarship examination that eventually destroyed my life. And what had I received? Betrayal. My scholarship had been cancelled. My university admission had been revoked. My reputation had been destroyed. Everyone believed I had cheated. The evidence had been planted on my laptop. And the person who had given that evidence to the school was Clara. My best friend. The girl I had trusted more than anyone. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell everyone the truth. But my lungs refused to cooperate. Then Clara whispered the final words I heard. Thank you for making me successful. The heart monitor beside me screamed. One long tone. And everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, I was 17. I stared at the ceiling. White paint. A tiny crack near the fan. The same old bedroom I had slept in during my final year of high school. I sat up. My breathing became faster. I looked at my hands. Young. Smooth. No hospital bracelet. No scars. I jumped out of bed and ran toward the mirror. A 17-year-old girl stared back at me. Long dark hair. Pale skin. Wide brown eyes. It was me. But younger. Much younger. I grabbed my phone. The date appeared on the screen. September 3rd. I froze. September 3rd. The day before my 18th birthday. But more importantly, 9 months before my final examination. 9 months before my life had been destroyed. I slowly sat on the edge of my bed. My hands trembled. I had been given another chance. A second life. And this time, I wasn't going to make the same mistakes. I wouldn't share everything. I wouldn't trust everyone. And I certainly wouldn't let Clara turn my kindness into her weapon. I looked at myself in the mirror. Then I smiled. Let's see what happens when Seraphina stops being useful. The next morning, I walked into school. Everything felt painfully familiar. The hallway. The lockers. The smell of chalk. The students running toward their classrooms. The bulletin board announcing the upcoming academic competition. Even the small scratch on the classroom door. I remembered everything. Then I saw her. Clara. My best friend. She was sitting at our usual desk. The moment she saw me, she smiled. Seraphina. She ran toward me and hugged me. I stood completely still. In my previous life, I would have hugged her back. This time, I gently removed her arms. Good morning. She looked confused. Are you okay? I'm fine. She smiled again. Did you finish the history notes? My heart almost laughed. Of course. That was always her first question. Not, how are you? Did you sleep well? How was your morning? Just, did you finish the notes? I opened my backpack. My notebook was inside. The same notebook I had spent weeks preparing. I remembered what happened the first time. I gave Clara my notes. She copied them. Then she gave them to 2 other students. Within a month, half the class had identical notes. But when the teacher discovered several errors in those notes, everyone blamed me. Because they were my notes. This time, I zipped my backpack. No. Clara blinked. No. I didn't bring them. But you always bring them. I changed my mind. She laughed. Come on, Seraphina. Don't joke. I'm not joking. Her smile disappeared. But we're best friends. I looked directly into her eyes. Best friends don't require each other's homework. Her face turned red. Several classmates looked over. One boy laughed. Wow. Seraphina finally grew a spine. Clara forced a smile. She's just tired. I said nothing. Because I knew something Clara didn't. She wasn't my best friend anymore. She was my first suspect. That afternoon, our mathematics teacher announced a surprise test. 20 questions. 40 minutes. The room became silent. I almost smiled. I remembered this test. In my first life, I scored 17 out of 20. Clara scored 19. I had been devastated. She had hugged me afterward. Don't worry, Sarah. You're still smarter than me. But later I discovered she had received the answer key beforehand. This time, I already knew exactly what was going to happen. Mr. Bennett handed out the papers. Question 1. Easy. Question 2. Easy. Question 3. I continued writing. When I reached question 19, I stopped. It was a tricky problem. I remembered getting it wrong the first time. But now I knew the method. I solved it. Then question 20. 5 minutes remained. I checked every answer. When the bell rang, I handed in my paper. Clara looked confident. 2 days later, Mr. Bennett returned the results. Highest score goes to. Everyone waited. Seraphina. The class erupted. I stared at the paper. 20/20ths. Perfect score. Clara's smile vanished. She looked at me. Then at her own paper. 18/20ths. Congratulations, Mr. Bennett said. Excellent improvement. I smiled. Thank you, sir. But something strange happened. As I returned to my seat, I noticed Clara staring at my test paper. Not angrily. Fearfully. That was the first sign. She wasn't simply jealous. She was worried. Why? I didn't know yet. Over the next month, everything changed. Whenever someone asked for my notes, I refused. Can you send me your chemistry summary? Sorry, I don't share my personal notes. Can you explain this chapter? Try the textbook first. Can I borrow your assignment? No. At first, everyone complained. Then something unexpected happened. My grades improved. Not slightly. Dramatically. I ranked first in every weekly test. Second became Clara. Third became Ethan. Fourth became Mia. Soon, people started whispering. What's happening to Seraphina? She wasn't this good last year. Maybe she's secretly taking coaching. Maybe she has the exam papers. I heard everything. I ignored everything. Then one afternoon, Clara cornered me near the library. You've changed. I know. You don't trust me anymore. I closed my locker. I trust people who give me a reason to trust them. She stared at me. What did I do? I smiled. Nothing yet. Her face became pale. Yet. I walked away. But I didn't notice the person standing at the end of the hallway. Our vice principal. Mrs. Hawthorne. She had been watching us. And she looked very interested. 1 week later, the school announced the biggest academic opportunity of the year. The National Excellence Scholarship. One student from our school would be nominated. The winner would receive a full university scholarship. Everyone wanted it. Especially Clara. In my first life, this scholarship had destroyed me. I had been the top student for years. My teachers recommended me. I prepared obsessively. Clara begged me to help her. I did. I gave her my notes. My practice questions. My mock tests. My study schedule. Everything. Then, 2 weeks before the scholarship exam, my laptop was found containing a leaked copy of the examination paper. I was accused of stealing it. I lost everything. Clara won the scholarship. This time, When the principal announced the scholarship, I didn't react, because I had already decided something. I would compete, but I would not tell anyone how I prepared. I went home and created a completely new study system. I divided every subject into 3 categories: knowledge, patterns, weaknesses. I analyzed past examinations. I memorized nothing blindly. I learned why answers were correct. I practiced under time pressure. And most importantly, I kept everything offline. No cloud, no shared folders, no messages, no photos, no copies. My notes existed only in one locked notebook. Mine. For the first time in my life, I understood something simple. Privacy isn't selfishness. One evening, I returned home from school and noticed my bedroom door was slightly open. I always locked it. I walked inside. Everything looked normal. My books were arranged. My laptop was closed. My notebook was on the desk. But something felt wrong. I opened my notebook. A page had been turned. Just one. My stomach tightened. Someone had touched it. I immediately checked the security camera in the hallway. The footage showed nothing. Then I remembered something. Our old house had another camera. A tiny camera my father had installed years earlier because of a burglary. It pointed toward the staircase. I checked the recording. At 6:14 p.m., someone entered our house. Clara. I froze. What was she doing here? The footage showed her speaking to someone. I couldn't see the person's face, but I recognized the clothes. A black blazer. Mrs. Hawthorne. Our vice principal. I replayed the video. Again. Then I heard Clara say something. The audio was faint, but clear enough. She won't share them anymore. Mrs. Hawthorne replied. Then we'll have to find another way. My blood ran cold. Another way? For what? I immediately copied the footage onto a USB drive. Then I hid it. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Because I had learned something in my first life. Never reveal your strongest evidence too early. The next day, something unexpected happened. Ethan approached me. Seraphina. Yes. Can I talk to you? We walked behind the gym. He looked nervous. Don't trust Clara. I almost laughed. I already don't. His eyes widened. You know? I know enough. He lowered his voice. She's not doing this alone. I know. He looked surprised. You know about Mrs. Hawthorne? I froze. What do you know? Ethan looked around. My older brother graduated from this school 2 years ago. What does that have to do with anything? He was supposed to receive the National Excellence Scholarship. I stared at him. But he didn't. Why? He was accused of cheating. My heart stopped. Did he cheat? No. Ethan's voice became bitter. His laptop was found with leaked exam answers. I felt cold. The exact same thing had happened to me. Who won the scholarship? Ethan hesitated. Clara's older sister. I stared at him. Suddenly, everything connected. Clara wasn't the first. She was part of a pattern. But then Ethan said something that changed everything. My brother kept evidence. Where? With someone he trusted. Who? Ethan looked at me. You. I frowned. I've never met your brother. He knew your sister. My heart stopped. My sister? He nodded. Your sister was investigating the scholarship committee before she died. That night, I searched through my sister's old belongings. My sister, Elena, had died when I was 12. Everyone said it was an accident. She had fallen from a staircase at school. I had never questioned it. Until now. I searched through old boxes, certificates, photographs, letters. Then I found a small red notebook. The first page contained only one sentence. If Seraphina ever becomes a top student, they will come for her too. My hands started shaking. I turned the page. Names, dates, Scholarship winners, teachers, parents, payments, everything. At the bottom of one page was a name. Hawthorne. I stopped breathing. Mrs. Hawthorne had been involved for years. But then I found something even stranger. A photograph. Elena standing beside Clara's mother. Behind them was the school's old examination office. On the back of the photograph were 4 words. Clara doesn't know. I stared at the sentence. If Clara didn't know, then who had been controlling her? The next morning, I confronted her. Did you know your mother was involved with the scholarship committee? Her face went pale. What? I know about Elena. She looked terrified. Don't say her name. Why? Because you don't understand. Then explain it. Clara began crying. My mother told me never to talk about your sister. Why? She said Elena was dangerous. My heart pounded. Did Elena hurt anyone? No. Then why was she dangerous? Clara shook her head. She discovered something. What? She discovered that scholarship rankings were being manipulated. I already knew that. But Clara continued. She tried to expose them. Then what happened? My mother said Elena died because she refused to cooperate. Silence. I couldn't breathe. Are you saying my sister was murdered? I don't know. Did your mother kill her? I don't know. Clara collapsed into a chair. Then she looked up at me. Seraphina, I didn't steal your notes because I wanted to beat you. I stared at her. Then why? Because my mother told me to. That wasn't the answer I expected. She continued. She said if I didn't become your friend, she would make sure my younger brother lost his medical treatment. I froze. You were threatened? Clara nodded. My family was trapped. Then she whispered. Your sister knew. I remembered the words in the notebook. Clara doesn't know. My sister had known Clara was being manipulated. She had never hated her. She had tried to protect her. The scholarship exam was approaching. I knew they would target me. So I created a trap. I made 3 identical sets of fake notes. Each set contained slightly different information. Set A went into my locker. Set B stayed in my room. Set C stayed with Ethan. Then I waited. 2 days later, Mrs. Hawthorne called me into her office. Seraphina, you're doing exceptionally well. Thank you. Your academic performance has changed dramatically. I've been studying. She smiled. I know. Then she leaned forward. Perhaps you could share your study materials with the school. I smiled politely. Why? For academic purposes. No. Her expression hardened. You seem unusually protective of those notes. They're personal. She stared at me. Then said, sometimes refusing to cooperate has consequences. I stood. Is that a threat? She smiled. No. Good. I left. That night, Seta disappeared from my locker. Exactly as I expected. The trap had worked. Someone had taken it. The next morning, the school announced that a student study document had been found containing several errors. The document was mine. Except, it wasn't. It was Set A. The fake version. I smiled. Because now I had proof. Someone had stolen my material. And they had no idea it was deliberately planted. The scholarship examination finally arrived. Hundreds of students from different schools participated. The examination hall was silent. I opened the paper. And froze. Question 1. Exactly like my fake notes. Question 2. Also there. Question 3. Same. My heart pounded. The examination paper contained several concepts from the fake notes I had planted. Someone had leaked my notes to the examination committee. But why? Then I saw something. A tiny symbol next to question 17. A small triangle. The same symbol from Elena's notebook. I suddenly realized something terrifying. My sister hadn't been investigating the scholarship committee. She had been investigating the examination paper supplier. The school wasn't stealing answers from students. The students were being used to test whether the examination papers were already compromised. The entire scholarship exam was a controlled system, and the real rankings were decided before students even entered the examination hall. Unless someone broke the system. I looked at question 20. It was not in my notes. Not in any past paper. Not in the syllabus. It was something completely new. I smiled. That was my opportunity. I solved it. Then another. And another. For the first time, the corrupt system had a problem. It couldn't predict me. 3 weeks later, the results were announced. The principal entered the auditorium. Everyone stood. He smiled. Today, we celebrate academic excellence. I almost laughed. He announced 3rd place. 2nd place. Then, the National Excellence Scholarship winner is Clara. The auditorium erupted. Clara looked shocked. I wasn't. Because I knew they had manipulated the ranking. The principal continued. And 1st rank in the school? He paused. Seraphina. The room exploded. I walked onto the stage. 1st rank. But no scholarship. Exactly as planned. The principal thought he had defeated me. He thought I would be devastated. Instead, I smiled. Then I turned toward the district education officer sitting in the audience. May I ask a question? The principal immediately stepped forward. Seraphina, this isn't the time. But the district officer raised his hand. Let her speak. I took a breath. Why did the scholarship winner receive questions that appeared in stolen study materials? The auditorium became silent. The principal's face changed. I continued. Why were my fake notes found in the examination committee's private server? Whispers spread through the room. The principal looked at Mrs. Hawthorne. She looked at Clara. Clara stood up and said, because they stole them. Everyone turned toward her. The principal shouted, Clara. She didn't stop. My mother gave them the information. The auditorium erupted. Then Ethan stood. My brother has evidence too. One by one, students began coming forward. Students who had been cheated. Students whose scholarships had disappeared. Students whose laptops had been tampered with. Teachers who had been pressured. The entire system began collapsing. But the biggest surprise came from my father. He walked onto the stage carrying an old envelope. I stared at him. Dad. He looked at me. I'm sorry. He handed me the envelope. Inside was a letter. Elena's handwriting. I read it. Dad, if they come after Seraphina, don't protect her by hiding the truth. Protect her by giving her the truth. My eyes filled with tears. My father whispered, your sister knew this might happen. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were 12. He looked broken. I wanted you to have a normal childhood. I hugged him. For years, I had thought my family had forgotten Elena. But they hadn't. They had been protecting her secret. And now, the secret was finally out. Chapter 14, The Final Confrontation. The investigation lasted several months. The school administration was suspended. The scholarship committee was investigated. Several students received the scholarships they had originally earned. And then Mrs. Hawthorne requested a private meeting with me. I agreed. She sat across from me. You think you've won. I said nothing. You destroyed years of work. No. I leaned forward. You destroyed them yourself. She smiled bitterly. Your sister was exactly like you. I froze. She thought intelligence was enough. What happened to her? Mrs. Hawthorne stared at me. She refused to cooperate. What does that mean? She had evidence. Where? She smiled. Somewhere you'll never find. I stood. You're wrong. She looked confused. I pulled out Elena's red notebook. She already gave it to me. For the first time, Mrs. Hawthorne looked afraid. I walked away. But before I reached the door, she whispered, "There's one thing you don't know." I stopped. What? Clara wasn't the only student your sister protected. I turned. Who else? Mrs. Hawthorne smiled. Yourself. I returned home and opened Elena's notebook again. There was one final page I hadn't noticed. A photograph was taped inside. It showed Elena, Ethan's brother, Clara's older sister, and me. But the photograph had been taken when I was only 10 years old. I didn't remember it. Behind the photograph was a sentence. Seraphina was the original candidate. My blood ran cold. The scholarship program hadn't started with me. It had been designed around me. My sister had discovered that the committee had been tracking my academic performance since elementary school. They wanted me to become their perfect scholarship success story. Then they would use my achievements to attract donations and manipulate rankings. When Elena discovered the truth, she tried to stop them. And when she couldn't, she created a plan. She intentionally made me believe that I had to be the best. But she also secretly taught me something more important. How to think independently. How to question evidence. How to protect my work. How to recognize manipulation. My entire life had been part of a battle I didn't even know existed. Until I died. Months later, I stood on the university stage. I had won the scholarship. Not Clara. Not because I had destroyed her. Not because I had cheated. Not because I had stolen anyone's opportunity. Because I had earned it. After the ceremony, a young student approached me. Seraphina? Yes. I heard your story. She smiled. Everyone says you stopped sharing your notes and became number one. I laughed. That's not exactly what happened. Then what happened? I thought about my first life. The hospital. The betrayal. The lies. The scholarship. My sister, Clara. And the girl I used to be. I stopped giving people the work I had created. She looked confused. Isn't that selfish? No. I smiled. Helping someone understand something is kindness. But doing their work for them isn't kindness. She nodded slowly. Then asked, "So what's the lesson?" I looked at the university behind us. The lesson is that you can be generous without becoming useful to people who don't respect you. She smiled. Thank you. Then she walked away. I looked at the sky. For years, I had believed my second life was given to me so I could take revenge. But I finally understood. It wasn't. My second life wasn't about making Clara lose. It wasn't about becoming number one. It wasn't even about destroying the people who had betrayed me. It was about becoming someone who couldn't be destroyed by them anymore. Epilogue. The note I never shared. Years later, I found myself sitting in a classroom again. But this time, I was the teacher. A student approached my desk. Professor Seraphina? Yes. Can I see your notes? The entire class laughed. I smiled. Of course. The student looked surprised. Really? Yes. I handed her a notebook. She opened it. The pages were filled with explanations, examples, questions, study strategies, everything. But on the final page, there was one sentence. She read it aloud. Knowledge is meant to be shared. But your hard work is not something people are entitled to. She looked at me. Professor, did you write this? I smiled. Yes. Why? I looked out the window. For a second, I remembered another classroom. Another life. Another version of me. A girl who thought saying yes to everyone would make them love her. A girl who believed friendship meant giving everything away. A girl who discovered too late that some people didn't want her friendship. They wanted her results. I closed the notebook. I learned it the hard way. The bell rang. The students left. I remained alone. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry about my first life. Because if I hadn't died, I might never have learned the truth. If I hadn't been betrayed, I might never have learned to protect myself. If I hadn't been reborn, I might still be the girl who believed everyone deserved access to her hard work. I looked at the old photograph of Elena sitting on my desk. Thank you, Elena. The room was silent. Then I smiled, because somewhere inside me, the 17-year-old Seraphina was finally free. She had stopped sharing her notes. She had ranked number 1. But more importantly, she had finally learned that being kind never meant allowing people to use you. And that was the victory nobody could ever take away from her. And that's the end of Seraphina's incredible second chance. She thought being reborn would be about revenge. But in the end, she discovered something even more powerful. Knowing your worth, protecting your hard work, and never letting people take advantage of your kindness. If you enjoyed Seraphina's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss our next rebirth and revenge story. And tell me in the comments, would you have stopped sharing your notes too? Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes your greatest revenge is simply becoming the person they can never control again. See you in the next story.